Hey, how's it going everyone? Here with another Naruto S.H.Figuarts review, and this time it is Sabaku no Gaara. He's definitely one of my favourite characters from the series. Though I've always preferred his original design, however this is the Shippuden one, so when he has become the Kazekage from memory. But yeah, he's still pretty cool. He hasn't aged too well. Some cool parts, some so let's just take a closer look as we go. But on the back here we do have a nice selection of poses he can do, and obviously have accessories, which is mainly that hand, and he does have his signature gourd as well. Plus he comes with a stand, which is quite rare. On the front we do have the Premium Bandai Tamashii Web logo, because this one here was a Premium Bandai release in Japan. And yeah, there's also the Naruto Boruto logo for some reason. It must have been when they were just ramping up that series in Japan, I assume. Not too familiar myself. So if you are familiar with the release dates for all that, you can drop a comment below and let everyone know. But yeah, anyway, let's pop him out of the box and get a closer look at what he comes with. Okay, so we've got him out of the box here, and in the centre we have Gaara himself, and he comes with their arms crossed look fully attached already. And then he has his left and right arms, which have the fists attached. He also has kind of the gripping, controlling the sand hands, and then the flat ones as well. He has his signature gourd, and then the, I've forgotten its name, the sand bijou's claw, which is really cool. In terms of faces, he's got three there, so just the basic look, the kind of cracked sand, the stoic look, and then a slight smirk. So yeah, not a huge selection of items with this guy. And as I mentioned earlier, he also does come with a stand, and this is a basic Tamashii one. Anyway, let's pop him out and get a closer look at that finish. Okay, so we've got Gaara set up on the turntable here, and here's one of those figures which is a pain to pose. Highly recommend a stand. In this case, I've just got it sort of balancing here and just on his back to keep him from falling over. You can get him standing up without the stand, but with it kind of moving and me kind of bumping the table a little bit, it is a little bit more prone to falling over, and it does take a while to get him into that right pose. So for the purpose of this video, we just got him balancing on the stand. But in terms of his finish, he's very simple. Like a lot of the releases, no real weathering or shading on his clothes. It's just kind of a soft rubber. It's kind of a little bit thick and a little bit, it's difficult to use. And he's got the basic grey on his legs. His feet don't look too bad compared to a lot of the other Naruto figures. I mean, this one did come out in 2017. So what's that, about 5 years now roughly. So it's not too old compared to a lot of the other releases, but he's still, yeah, he's probably one of the weaker figures of the line, I think. His gourd is really nice, so it's got the nice texture of the kind of the cracks, and does have weathering on there. His hair is really nice though, with the kind of light and dark colours, and then again the printing of the kanji on his face and the dark eyeline. All that is really nice, though it's just pretty basic colouring on his face, just a straight plastic I believe. But yeah, overall very simple, not too much to go over there. So let's just jump straight into the articulation. But before we do the articulation, let's take the arms off. And now this one's actually interesting. It's got a split on his hand, so it's a peg there, and then the joint will just pop out. So these ones are actually quite nice and easy to use. So to connect the new arm up, all you have to do is take the arm out, line up the peg, and just pop it into the socket. Okay, now that we've got the arms on, we can do the articulation. His head, again, I mean, no real, I guess, shoulder or hair parts that will get in the way, so the full swivel is fine. Do the tilting forward and back without any issues, and his neck will move as well. Just pop that head off. You can move the neck around quite nicely as well. So that is pretty much a circle. You do have a decent range of motion there. Just kind of angle that up with the Adam's apple forward, and then with the peg, if we swivel that so it's facing forward, and if we pop the head on, we should get some nice tilting action going on. So with the peg facing the correct way. It's still not much of a difference actually, because his face kind of gets in the way there, but it's pretty decent for an old figure. Now onto the shoulders, he does have slight butterfly joints which will pop out, but it's pretty limited, especially compared to recent figures. And since these are designed to pop in and out, it does come off easily, so you don't get too much motion forward. His shoulder joint there is pretty nice as well. Again, he's pretty straightforward, so there isn't too much that will get in the way of his overall articulation. And same for his wrist. Everything here is pretty standard. His waist as well, he moves on the two parts kind of. That upper part there will go forward and back by a few mil, and slightly left and right, but not much. Most of the motion there will be on the hip waist joint area. Don't get too much forward motion in this figure. It's pretty limited all round, unfortunately. Now moving down to his legs, everything gets hindered by his clothing flaps, and it's just a real pain, to be honest. But if you can split these off to the side, you can kind of get the legs out in a, I guess, decent splits there, and these will swivel as well. And then for that knee articulation, it's a decent range again, but yeah, posing him very difficult due to all these flaps. So there's a few splits, so if you do take your time, you can kind of get it there. Moving down to his ankles, he doesn't have too much motion. Left and right is fine, slight forward, but it's because his clothes kind of overhang his shoes, so it just hinders the motion there. Does have the usual toe tip point of articulation, not much, but a little bit. Yeah, some nice texture on the bottom of his shoes though. So that covers the articulation of him. For his gourd, there's a single peg on the back, and it will just slot straight in, and then just rest on his body. For faces, this is just the base one, which overall pretty nice actually. The kanji is clearly printed, and to switch those over, you just have to pop the heads off, like so. So not heads, pop the bangs, and then the faceplate will pop off. Switch over the next one, and here we have the correct face look. Again, the printing's quite nice. I mean, these faces are definitely better than the Sasuke figures, but I'm not quite sure. Just they're not bad. There's something slightly off with them for me, so I'm definitely looking forward to a 2.0 Gaara. For his third face though, let's switch that on now. This one's okay. It's kind of a teeth gritting. It's just looks a little bit, I don't know, chipmunky. It's just, I think the printing on the faces is nice, the eyes are nice, the kanji, the hair is nice. I think maybe just like the sculpt of the face is just slightly off in these older figures. So yeah, I think definitely room for improvement there. More so than Gaara himself, I think the coolest thing for this figure is the hand here. The sand claw. I think his name was Shikaku. Please let me know below the name of the beija that Gaara had. It was the one-tailed one. But you know, for this one here, there is a peg hole. So you just pop the stand into the bottom of the hand there, and you can kind of pose it up with him. So it's a little bit heavy, but yeah, overall the finish on this one's really nice. We've got the kind of, I guess it was a clear plastic that's been painted, and there's some weathering. We've got the nail colour on there, and the centre part will twist and turn as well. So you do have a single point of articulation, which is quite nice, and kind of got the loose strands of sand there as well. So for a size comparison, we do have the best selection Naruto here, and yeah, I mean, Gaara and Naruto are basically about the same size and proportions all around. I think yeah, they look pretty nice next to each other. I'm really looking forward to a 2.0 version for both of these together. Definitely one of my favourite pairings in the show. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing that in the hopefully near future. But yeah, what do you reckon about the size? Let me know below if you think it's a good match or not. or if you think Gaara could have been a little bit bigger or smaller, especially if we think towards the future with a possible 2.0 release. So for the final thoughts now for the Shippuden no Gaara figure, he's okay. He's not the best, not the worst in the line. The hand is awesome, the gourd looks good, the colouring of his hair is nice. I think the proportions is pretty good, and the faces look, at least the printing is good. For cons, he's a real fiddly figure. Really difficult to pose. I think the sculpting of the face is maybe slightly off. It just doesn't quite look right. I mean, I think this one is the better of the faces. But yeah, I don't know. These flaps, they work okay, but it is, I don't know, it's just not a fun figure to really play with. Kind of more frustrating than anything. Though, if you do have patience, you can get him to some pretty cool poses. Yeah, just takes patience. Overall, I think if you can get him cheap, he's probably worth picking up, at least for the effects. But beyond that, I wouldn't pay a lot for this figure. I'll just hold off until you get a re-release, or not a re-release, sorry, a brand new version of him in the future. I think we'll definitely be getting him since he's one of the core characters. But yeah, let me know below what you think about Gaara here, if you have him or not. And if you do have him, what do you like and dislike? If you want more photos of this figure, there's some at the end of this video, and you can also check them out on rockchala.com. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, cheers!